Mekedatu balancing reservoir is proposed at a place in the Cauvery Wildlife Sanctuary, very close to where the river Cauvery will enter Tamil Nadu. This is at Karnataka's border. The idea is to keep under control the catchment below the KRS dam and the Kabini dam, which is currently unmanaged, where the rainwater that falls on it directly enters Tamil Nadu through Biligundu and goes to Mettur dam. It proposes to hold the waters here and release it in terms of the Supreme Court guidelines of water release, and as is being decided by the Cauvery Water Management Authority. It also presupposes that the water held there would serve the drinking water requirements of Bengaluru city, plus it would generate electricity because there's enough slope there to be able to do that. Hydroelectricity generation is possible there. So it's a combination of a balancing reservoir for providing domestic water supply to Bangalore as well as a power generation dam. Will the Mekedatu balancing reservoir resolve the disputes on the Cauvery? Most likely not. The Cauvery basin is now overexploited. It's a closed basin where most times, except during exceptional years of rainfall, the river itself does not reach the sea. The extent of agricultural land and production under agriculture, both in Karnataka and especially in Tamil Nadu, is way beyond the capacity of the Cauvery to be able to supply water for irrigation purposes. Plus, we now grow 3 crops in Tamil Nadu in summertime and in the normal Kharif and Rabi season. This is simply not possible for the Cauvery to supply waters except during exceptional years of rainfall. So, Mekedatu reservoir will not serve the purpose of de-escalating the crisis or the dispute between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, especially during distress years, because in distress years, there's no surplus and there's no distress formula which has been worked out as to what you will share when there is less water flows into the Cauvery River Basin reservoirs in the Karnataka place. Ecologically, the Cauvery, the Mekedatu reservoir would be a disaster because more than 4,000 hectares of the Cauvery Wildlife Sanctuary would be submerged. Overall, about 5,000 hectares will be submerged. It will cut off key sensitive areas of residence, for example, for the Mahseer, for the river otter. It will impede the elephant flow movements. There is still no environmental impact assessment done to suggest what the overall environmental impact will be. But if you intervene in a wildlife sanctuary, in a Karnataka wildlife sanctuary, you will destroy the forests of Karnataka. Ecologically, it is simply a huge cost that we'll have to pay. Well, here's Tamil Nadu's suspicion. It says that with the existing reservoirs of 110 TMC feet, which Karnataka can hold on waters, when there is less rainfall, when there's less water, Karnataka shows no intent of releasing any water at all, like what we are seeing as a protest now, except under duress by the CWRC or the CWMA, the Cauvery Water Resource Council or the Cauvery Water Management Authority. Unless they step in and direct Karnataka to release waters, Karnataka doesn't release it. If you have an additional dam at Mekedatu, which will store all these released water, again, Tamil Nadu will be at the mercy of the CWRC and CWMA benevolence for release of waters. So in a way, Tamil Nadu's hesitation is justified. In the distress years, definitely not. Like we see, the Cauvery Water Tribunal itself erred in the sense it picked a 50% probable year of rainfall for making a decision. Typically, all tribunals in India pick a 75% probable rainfall and then decide the distribution. In the Cauvery case, because one of the first tribunals to make a decision, it took a 50% probable year. Now, it also failed in putting in place a formula for distress years. So if that distress year formula had been put in place with the consent of both the states, all the 4 states of the Cauvery Basin, then problems of this nature, which are to be contested on almost on a yearly basis, would have been avoided. There is not enough water in the Cauvery Basin for the needs of the people in the Cauvery Basin in about 80% of the years of rainfall. It's only in 20% high incidence rainfall that there could be just about enough water. And look at the final thing. The coastal area, the delta, and the littoral zone, the sea itself, which needs a flow of water and silt, is not even considered. Any water reaching the sea is seen as a waste in the discourse that we have. So there's absolutely no environmental and ecological justice to the other creatures which occupy the river and depend on it completely, including the coastal littoral zone. So therefore, there is not enough water in the Cauvery for the current demand that we're putting on it. That historically, a delta is the portion which has the richest soil and therefore the highest productivity. If you see the union or the nation of India as a whole, and if we want food productivity, we would give the first waters to the delta area, because then the food production would be the highest in case there is less water in the river as a whole. But what has happened in India is now that we are urbanizing, urban demand on water is increasing rapidly and industrial demand for water is increasing. Plus a bit of agricultural demand is also increasing. This then pushes the agricultural use of water away to industrial and urban use, and therefore conflicts will arise. The first nature of the conflict is between states, because it's an administrative boundary where we can easily fight, which we are doing right now. But if you remember, even districts fight about water. When the KRS canal had to be taken from KRS reservoir to Mysore, the Mandya farmers objected to it. When Mysore city gets water from the KRS dam, farmers of Mysore district object to the water going to the city and say, no, we have first right to the water. So all disputes are inherent unless we manage demand. And what we have done is we've sent wrong agricultural signals in which sugarcane and paddy are being grown rampantly with the use of fertilizers, pesticides, and you name it, where the farmers themselves are not making enough money, but we're caught in this trap of growing water-intensive crops in a river basin which is fast losing water. And that in an era of climate change. Climate change brings huge variability in rainfall, huge variability in the monsoon itself. So we may have plenty of years of rain where we will have floods in the Cauvery basin and we will have droughts in the Cauvery basin. And in both the cases, we will fight with each other. Fighting is now inherent to water, and we should learn how to de-escalate the fight by creating the right institutions of governance and making sure that those institutions perform well. So one of the things in a good river management scheme is to draw basin management plans. The major tributaries of the Cauvery, for example, in Karnataka, you take the Shimsha, the Arkavati, the Lokapamani, the Lakshman Tirtha, each one of these tributaries supply water to what becomes the Cauvery, including Kabini. Kabini is a major supplier of water to the Cauvery itself. Each one of these tributaries, the primary tributaries of the Cauvery, should have a basin management plan. What is the water demand in the basin? How can we make sure that these tributaries' health is maintained and managed? And we should have the right institutions coordinating such a plan for each tributary. They should talk to every Gram Panchayat in that particular tributary's river basin, and every town municipal council draw out a plan which is capable of implementation in a decentralized fashion. Like I was mentioning to you, soil conservation measures, water conservation measures, recharge measures, lake rejuvenation measures. If all of those are put in place, then we have a decent chance that the river will continue to flow the way it used to in the past. Otherwise, we will find that the river itself will stop flowing in major chunks of the year, and we will only be disputing that little water in the river itself as though that's what matters to us. A whole basin integrated approach, including forests, including soil, including water, including groundwater, is crucial for us. There is a way of portraying a crisis. Are there alternative approaches by which farmers in the Cauvery catchment area can access better waters? For sure, yes. If we intervene at a farm level, if we bring changes in cropping pattern relevant to the socio-ecological conditions of that particular area, if we tweak the minimum support price, for example, for sugarcane paddy, but push it towards ragi and other water-efficient crops, if we grow mulberry and horticultural trees in the catchment area, if we do good soil management practices, if we revive the tanks which dot innumerous tanks that dot the Cauvery basin, make sure that these tanks are fully functional, can hold all the waters that is there. If you make a recharge of aquifers and rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge a big project and a big program, even in Bangalore city, if you reuse treated wastewater, which is generated in Bangalore to the extent of 19 TMC feet currently, and which will go up to 28 TMC feet, treated wastewater in Bangalore alone, let alone Mysore, Chikmagalur, and other towns. And if we look at demand management, then we will have a sense of social justice with water, where water is made available to those who need it all across the basin, not just in the command area of a particular dam. Mekedatu becomes an easy political proposition to put in place and sort of claim that it will solve all problems. And then in the meantime, the public are sort of caught up in when will the dam be sanctioned, when will it be completed, and when will it see full play, which will take at least 10 years, given the track record that we have had projects of this nature, right? Even a small diversion project like Yettinhole, which started off as a 4,000 crore or a 4,300 crore project, is now 20,000 crores, and yet not a drop of water has come in from that particular project in Karnataka, right? So given the track records, this is just a political maneuver to digress from the key issue. The key issue, as I repeatedly say, is how do we manage demand in a basin where demand has far outstripped supply? And how do we bring about distributive justice for the people who occupy it? Plus, how do we make sure that the catchments, the rivers, the tributaries of the rivers are protected in such a fashion that even normal flows during normal rainfall years occur uninterrupted, of high quantity and high quality? We should stop industrial pollution into the river. We should stop domestic sewage pollution into the river. Sand mining should be stopped. The cutting of old forests should be stopped. Actually, we should grow new forests as far as possible. All these are interventions which are necessary and essential. And that is completely forgotten in this discourse about Mekedatu alone.